Starting on my end.
We should be
And
live.
boom, we should be live. What's going on, Richard?
I'm sweating. It's hot in here.
Yeah, it looks like it, man. What's going on?
Bright
Well,
lights.
bright lights. Yeah. But you're looking good. You got a haircut. I just saw it for the first time.
I tell you, man, if you like dancing and partying, you got long hair, you sweat too much, man. You sweat too much with short hair, so.
Yeah. Did you party before you got into crypto or after, man? Was it like the crypto did well for you? I know you did some stuff before crypto.
So, I mean, I always loved music and going out and meeting people and being social. But,
Hmm.
you know, you go through phases. Like if you've got a solid girl and you don't just go out all the time. Right now, I'm like in between solid girls, so just going out constantly. Love it.
Yeah,
That's how
is
you
that a
meet
tan
new
you see,
people.
or is that your shirt reflecting into
I'm
your
actually
into?
tan. This is as tan as Richard
Nice.
gets, I think.
Not looking good, man. You got a fresh haircut, got a nice tan, sweet fitting shirt. It's nice to have you. Everybody, I invite you to hit that like button, share this stream, and participate. I got a bunch of questions from you guys, from also Richard Hart's Twitter, from my Twitter, from this chat. So we're gonna be asking him about some really great questions. I think you guys are gonna enjoy the stream because Richard's always been a fascinating guest. I've enjoyed watching. He had a great interview with Roger Ver. It was like a debate actually, which was a little different than the one that I did, and also Ivan on tech. So some of the questions we have today, I think, are going to be pretty pressing for what's happening right now and probably your lives and in the cryptocurrency community as a whole, and some that have nothing to do with cryptocurrency. But would you like to introduce yourself, Richard, real quick in your own
Sure.
words for everybody who might not know who you are?
Yeah, I'm Richard Hart, an old gangster, OG Bitcoin maximalist guy until I switched to maximalish. I still don't like most coins, but I know that we need more than just Bitcoin to do stuff that needs done. Used to mine in 2011 when video cards just came out to be able to mine. What else? I'm a retired serial entrepreneur. I've had 150 employees, 10 different businesses. Lived in a hotel for 5 years, traveling the entire world. Did martial arts 3 years. Wrote a book. It's free. You can download it. It's called Sci-Vive. It's just an outline now, but if you're a smart dude, it's enough for you. And I've got my own cryptocurrency coming out in 2 months. It's a fork of Bitcoin on Ethereum, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in just a little bit about the fork for sure. But I didn't know you were into mining early on. So
Yeah,
how come how did you find out about mining? And did
I,
you
w-
have crypto before that?
I started watching the whole Bitcoin thing when it was $1 on Reddit because I'd read Reddit every day because I was retired, so there's nothing else to do but just read Reddit all day every day. And you know, I didn't really like get in until I saw the Wired article at around like 10 to 14 bucks, and it spiked up to about 31, and then it dropped down to 1 over the next couple months. So I got to like buy the 30 top and sit through the $1 bottom. So I only lost like 99% of my my fucking
Oh, so
like.
this isn't new to you,
No,
these
it's
drops.
yeah, these the dips, they keep coming, and they'll probably keep on coming for a while. Like it's just the nature of all low market cap speculative things, pretty much. I
Yeah, people are getting scared now with what happened with that ETF decision, actually. So I'm seeing
how,
in the chat, people are scared. What's going
how
on with
how
that,
much do
man?
you tweet? Do you tweet a lot? I tweet.
Yeah.
I sent my followers your Twitter so they could follow. I tweet a lot. Like I have 50K subs on Twitter, and I have like 35K on YouTube. So I think my Twitter is like more exciting than anything else I do probably.
Yeah, so definitely check out what's your Twitter? It's a little different. It's
Just
Richard Hart something.
Richard Hart win. I think you've
Win.
got more subs on YouTube than Twitter by like 4x or something. I think you got like 130K YouTube.
Yeah, I feel like I never got into Twitter until like recently. Like I just like literally I never really used it. I was always into Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. But then one day I just opened up Twitter and I had a shit ton of followers and I was like, cool. I actually appreciate just saying whatever I want to say right now. So you're right. I probably tweet more actively now there than I even make videos on YouTube because I don't have the time to cover every single article or everything. But yeah, I think I have about 30 like 30K people on Twitter and 115K on YouTube.
I think YouTube's better because the content has more lasting value. Like you'll still get results from search, but in Twitter, like once you tweet, no one's going back and checking that unless you've screwed up your life. Like no one's going back and checking your historic tweets unless they're trying to fuck you up. So probably your
Yeah.
YouTube investment's worth more than your Twitter investment is my guess.
Yeah, it definitely can reward you a little bit better. Although I'm sure there are paid tweets that exist out there. People do
Mm.
that for sponsorship. You probably need to get to like the 100K level when that happens, or I
Right.
guess like John McAfee level.
Crazy level, crazy mode, bath
Yeah,
salts mode.
bath salts. Yeah, you came from Florida too. I grew up in Miami, right? So that was
Yeah.
where the whole bath salts craze kind of started.
Florida still sucks, dude. I mean, it's still insane. Like, if you want to get your face eaten, there's no better place to try and make that happen than South Florida. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a trade-off for no state taxes, I guess. At the end of it.
it's
So,
got to
so
be
I
some
have a
other state that's like that. There's got to be another one.
yeah, I think so. People go for the beach weather, but then they find the humidity. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not bad here in LA. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoyed the switch over like 2 years ago. It's not bad. So let me get into some of the questions here. I have a bunch of questions. So the first one, let's I don't know. People are still interested in talking about the Bcash fork. These questions are going to be
Sure.
out of order. They're going to be interesting, I think. But
Hmm.
yeah, let's talk about that Bcash fork. I guess it's still on people's minds. What do you think about what happened with how maybe Bitcoin Cash forked away from Bitcoin and how that happened afterwards? Do you think it was done properly or any
So,
feelings?
yeah, so people want control. And if you're. So I respect Roger. I respect a lot of his political views. We probably agree a lot more on things than we disagree. He wasn't happy to see Bitcoin become a settlement layer, um, and have high transaction fees. And he thinks that the solution to that is by having bigger blocks, and he just ignores all the downsides to the bigger blocks, which is centralization. So if your blocks get so large that you need really, really good connectivity and really, really good computing to handle them, then you become more centralized. Then you become less resilient to attack from sensors, which is the whole game, right? Like, we had Liberty Reserve, Liberty Dollar, we had eGold, we had these things that worked just fine until they got shut down because they were centralized. And so Bitcoin works and has utility and value because it's decentralized and hard to attack. And when you just make the blocks bigger, you make it easier to attack. So it's much easier to kill the Bcash network because they've got fewer nodes. Their nodes are controlled by fewer people, and they've got more capacity that no one needs. Like, the blocks are full. The blocks are empty right now. Crypto doesn't actually have adoption. No one is actually using this stuff to the degree where they have to compete for block space and increase fees. Now, for a very short period of time, the blocks were full, and the prices did go up. And as you saw, it didn't last, and now the blocks are empty again. So what we need, it's just like saving Africa. Africans don't need new ways to spend money they don't have. They need money. We don't need more capacity to avoid full blocks. We need more people to actually fill up the blocks. Like, that's the problem we have right now. It's an adoption problem. So I'm not okay with Bcash having tried to defect the miners over to their project and reducing the security of the real coin, or having a smaller, crappier development team. They don't even use GitHub. They use their own weird versioning system, which,
Or something like that. Yeah.
yeah. So, like, they did a lot of stuff wrong, but that's fine. I mean, they're an altcoin. So if you're going to be an altcoin, like I'm building an altcoin, you can be an altcoin and just be honest about what you're doing, and don't try and tout Satoshi's vision against like his actual roadmap. Like, his actual roadmap was that there would be a settlement layer and then faster layers, and then that's it. He's like, and his statement was verbatim, or close enough to verbatim. You could Google it. Not everyone runs their own email server. Period. Like, that's the end of the story. Like, there's supposed to be multiple tiers. It's not all supposed to be one tier. Life doesn't work like that, right? You've got a fast car, you've got a scooter, you've got roller skates, you've got space shuttle. We have these different versions of speed and cost, and you don't want to use a space shuttle for everything. You don't want to use a space shuttle to buy your groceries. It's stupid. You don't want your settlement layer to have gigantic blocks that like no one can participate in.
Yeah, and I just finished reading actually an article by Gavin Andreessen that was written years ago about UTXOs and unspent transactions and how it was climbing at a huge rate, something like 50% in that year it had climbed. And that meant obviously more memory to fill up the blocks.
Yep.
And Moore's law, which is a big argument that, bigger blockers have, does not move at the same speed. So the fact that hard drives are getting cheaper or faster only accounted for about 20% of that. So it's going to get to the point where it was going to be like something like $6,000 just for buying some hardware to be able to download the full block. So that would definitely push a lot of people like in Africa from being able to
Yeah.
participate. And I can see how that might lead to centralization. And I
No.
appreciate you talking about it. Just after I had Roger kind of sharing the good light about bigger blocks and you taking the other
So,
side of the argument.
so if you want to see the other side of big blocks, like Luke Jr. thinks that the blocks are already too big. He's got, you know, some. He's a little crazy in a lot of ways, but maybe his math supports that we're already in Riskville as far as centralization goes. And then my like simple like thing to say why you can't just have the biggest blocks is there's infinite demand for free storage. So if you have extremely cheap blocks, then you're doing extremely cheap data storage. Then I will fill that up and just put my home movies on it, and your blocks will become more expensive because you're replicating that data across thousands of computers. So anytime you have really cheap blocks, I'll put my home movies on it and fuck your network. Like, I shoot 4K, dude. So, I mean, this shoots 100 megabits a second to shoot this video. So, like, you can't have giant blocks forever. It just doesn't work.
Is there any reason you think it might work actually having bigger blocks, or were
You
you
can
always
always you
against
can
bigger
always
blocks?
have bigger blocks as long as it kind of scales with technology. Like, that's fine, but you can't make them so big so quickly. Like, in theory, the increased adoption of crypto should outpace the increased speed of networks, which is what we're kind of limited by. It's not just increased like network bandwidth, it's also latency, and they're different. It's too complicated to explain the difference between like jitter and latency and bandwidth. It's harder stuff to explain.
Yeah. But you don't think that maybe just doubling the block size would
We
have
did.
been
We did
enough?
that. We did double the block size. We went.
Well, not technically. It was just like it was pretty much a 2x increase in what could fit, but it wasn't a direct like megabyte block size increase, if that's what you're
There was
meaning.
actually though, like
Yeah?
the weight the weighting was changed so that not only did you get increases from using SegWit, but the actual blocks just got bigger as well. I can't remember the exact math right now, but the blocks did increase in size, and that was always on the roadmap anyway. So
Yeah.
increased block sizes has been on the core devs roadmap forever, and it will always will be. Like, it's pretty smart to do. You just do it after you get efficiency. Efficiency, TikTok. It's just like Intel. IPC increases in speed, die shrink. Increase the speed, die shrink. And now they've kind of got like a three-phase TikTok talk kind of thing. But
I just got a huge question and donation, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask you from Scotty does know 328. Thank you, Scotty. He says, huge fan of both you guys. Question for Mr. Hart: when an ETF does finally come, whatever that is, do you believe that it will be a catalyst like what an ETF did for gold? Will it take 1 or 2 years for the huge wave to come, like when the gold ETF came out? Will it be faster, or maybe it won't help at all?
you know, it supposedly markets don't do the same thing again, but what they do rhymes. So when the gold ETF came out, or not ETF, but futures came out 40, 30, whatever many years ago, there was a big price pump, and then it dumped for a long time, and then gold never really did what tech stocks did, never really did what like a lot of other assets did. And there's a lot of people that believe that futures that don't require physical settlement, or if they did require physical settlement, like most parties would just get bankrupted because there's just not enough of the physical to go around. If those rumors are true, then you could just suppress Bitcoin price using these different instruments if reality just kind of turns out that way. You could also just get crazy price pump forever. But I mean, like, look what happened with futures, right? We got in before Wall Street did, the early adopters. And then the theory was Wall Street was going to get in before Main Street because Wall Street would get futures, and then the ETFs would buy the futures or the underlying. And then you'd be able to put it in your normal 401k, retirement fund, things like that. But that didn't happen, right? Like, very few people trade the contracts. The last time I checked 30 days ago, I think there was 2,200 actual users of the CME futures product.
I read they
And
have only 2.5% the volume of silver,
right,
20% of palladiums.
right. So, like, the adoption's not there. So now the market's there, and the price is still high. I mean, I was telling everyone to get long at 3,000 publicly, maybe even earlier. And now we're at 8,000. Well, that's good. I mean, that's still a heck of an increase, right? But the adoption is not there. E-Trade turned on their trading. Not many people are doing it. The other one that gamifies the stock trading, can't remember what they're called right now. They've got a very successful app. They don't even deliver the actual underlying. They're just
Robinhood.
Robinhood, yeah. I think they're all contract for difference, kind of virtualized stuff, like eToro kind of thing. And the adoption is just not there, right? There's 100 million daily users of Clash of Clans video game. There's 5 million total Bitcoin wallets with over $100. What? I mean, there's just no adoption. So maybe one day it'll come, and maybe the ETF will do it, but I don't know why they don't just keep rejecting it like they have been. So until someone shows me that they're just not going to do ETF tonight again like they did today to the Winklevosses, I'm not going to just dream. I dreamed that LedgerX was going to be amazing and they were going to turn Bitcoin options on, and then they just never did any volume. And my premise there sucked, right? The institutions didn't buy much in the way of options from LedgerX. You can go to something.ledgerx and actually just see their volume. Let me look real quick. It's probably in my autocomplete. So, yeah, I mean, maybe ETF makes us pump, but maybe that was the 2-week pump that we just had,
Yeah, do you think that now that the appeal decision from the Winklevoss twins got denied, that maybe that would start? Maybe you actually before the interview said maybe this is a dead cat bounce that we just saw.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the case and it'll continue south?
So the ETF decision basically comes down to people that are bullish say that the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, is more likely to approve the CBOE's version of an ETF because they're already known counterparty than a new counterparty through Gemini's Winklevoss.
Yeah.
So
And they have a futures product already on there.
Right.
Working.
Yeah. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. This is the risk of things that aren't voted upon. It's a regulator decides, and that guy just decides whichever way he likes, and you don't really have a lot of ways to remedy his decision, right? I guess you can appeal it to the same guy again. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that appealing to the same guy again matters, or maybe I'm misunderstanding the process, but I think that's how it works. So with the dead cat bounce, look at the chart. So we dropped from 20K to 10K, and then we bounced, and then we bounced up to 17 at some point. So that was a 70%, right? And then we dropped to 6K and got up to about 12K, 11.7. Okay, that's 100% bounce, right? And so our bounces have been getting smaller, and our dumps have been getting smaller. So that's what a dead cat bounce looks like. Every drop gets smaller, but every bounce gets smaller too. And so, you could have looked at the last bounce of 50% and said, okay, if this is a dead cat, it's likely that this next bounce we get from 6K is smaller than 50%. And I think I measured it, it was 52%, 53%, and now we dumped $400 or $500. So, maybe we go find new lows now if the dead cat premise holds. If your bounces keep getting smaller and you can't get over the 200-day moving average, and you believe that bear markets don't resolve themselves in 7 months, then I don't see the reason to be long Bitcoin right now. You could dollar cost average in, if you believe the bottom is 5, 4, 3, any of those numbers, you could average in from 6 to 3 and hold, right? Because if you look, I checked it out yesterday, the last bear market we had was 622 days, which is about 1.7 years. And we've already done 7 months of this bear market, which is about 210 days. So, we've only got maybe a year of bear market left if it acts like the last one. And we've got more on-ramps now, so it might last less long. or the futures could lean on us and just keep us dead forever. I don't know. Like, you have to just
Do you
wait
think
and
that
watch.
do you think that the bottom's due to maybe just like the market's technical analysis, or do you think that there are, like Trace Mayer says, hodlers of last resort and people who won't sell, and maybe that's the reason for the bottom? What do you think the bottom is and why?
Well, so it's very easy to want to buy a thing that just keeps going up. It's very hard to want to buy a thing that just keeps going down. And we've been doing the keep going down thing pretty much for the last 7 months. And it's just the direction the trend is going, which is why we can't get over the 200-day moving average. So I think once enough people have been burnt and hate crypto and bought the top and sold the bottom, and then all the bottom buyers have finally been wrecked, right? All the people that bought the dip, once the dip kept dipping, and all those guys get wrecked. And once the search volume has bottomed, and everyone is just sick of it, then there's just no sellers left, and you get crazy price pumps again because it's truly limited in supply. So this will pump again, and it will rip your face off, unless this stupid narrative about the futures leaning on us is true, which I don't think it is. I think we're more likely to pump than dump. It just takes time. Bear markets don't resolve themselves in 7 months. I don't think. So, the bottom just comes when the sellers just stop selling, pretty much. You know, when they, it's very hard to hold on to a thing that you just keep losing money on, and then you capitulate at some point. You can't take the pain anymore. You can't be underwater any longer. You're just like, fuck it, let's stop the pain. And once enough people do that, we get to do bull market again. That's my theory.
Yeah, I thought that perhaps that had happened already. Maybe that wasn't the case. There are plenty of people
Why
still waiting
can't
on the sidelines.
why do we keep going into the sixes? What happened to 9,000 Vegeta memes? What was wrong with 10,000? Wasn't Bitcoin a good deal when it was half price, right? Like why couldn't we hold the 200-day moving average? We're not holding any supports. I mean, I guess people will point at the 6,600 level as like a quadruple bottom. And you're like, well, how many times do you want to test that bottom? If you keep testing a thing, it fucking fails usually. Like, keep testing your relationship and treating your partner poorly and see how long it lasts. Keep testing that 6,600. You're not supposed to get 10 chances to buy the bottom. It's not how bottoms work usually.
Hey, Nezi had a good point here in the chat. He goes, I wouldn't be surprised if the Winklevi ETF was denied to crash the price so the last big players could get in before the CBOE one gets approved. Interesting. Tinfoil hat stuff. But
Yeah. There's like all these stupid theories. They don't have the volume behind them, right? They're like, oh, the CME's dumped at us. And you're like, well, not much. I mean, look at the volume up at that 20K price. Like, very few people got to sell that price. Very few people got to sell 20K. Because you can look at the volume bar at 20K and see, oh, there wasn't that much volume there. There's no magic way that you could have profited on it. You really had to be in that volume bar or you didn't get to do it.
And I think you were kind of long at that time because I remember watching an interview where you were excited about the futures market possibility, but pretty much when it came out, the whole price went south. So how did it feel going from that bullish position and interacting with your followers and how they felt about it to becoming more bearish? And still talking?
Every time there's a buy the rumor, sell the news event, you have to just wait and see what the market's going to do. You can't try and guess what the market's going to do unless you own an exchange and can see how many wires you're getting in. And I don't own an exchange, so I don't have access to that information. I was speaking with a lot of traders at the time, and everyone was figuring out how to dump their crypto. Everyone was setting up exchange accounts and getting ready for the blow off top and just guessing where the blow off top would go because we were in a parabolic advance. And we've done these before. There's always a blow off top, and then there's a crash, and then there's a 75% retrace at some point. And that was everyone's game plan. And so, a lot of people got long at 20K thinking we're going to break through. And that strategy worked when you broke 5K, broke 7K. But the 20K, it didn't work. It didn't dump too hard. So there's more than enough time to get short at 17.5 and ride it down to 10. So, like, Christmas was great, right? 20K Christmas, and then knowing that there was going to be a blow off top and knowing how to get positioned. And so I was super, super happy in January, super happy. But then if you're used to buying dips and you start violating 40% dips and you start doing 45s and 50s, you're like, oh, buying the dip gets you wrecked now. And you start giving back gains, right? So
It's the
if,
opposite of normal. Yeah.
yeah. So like the bears that survived 2017 got to do great in 2018. And the bulls that did great in 2017 got to get their faces smashed in the first half of this year. Until now, people are pretty much tired of playing. Like, except for BitMEX, use my shill link. If you want to trade, use my shill link. You get a 10% discount. Except for BitMEX, which is doing $1 billion of volume a day now, which is insane. Every other exchange is screwed. There's no volume. So,
Yeah, even Binance is finally beginning to like retread a little bit, losing
yeah,
it to BitMEX.
right. Yeah, everybody's volume is dead except BitMEX's. I think it's because the 100x leverage and
Yeah,
just,
leverage is nice. We can't do it here in the States, but I wish I had a fake
well,
passport or something.
that VPN though, dog. 50% off lifetime VPN code, heart,
They don't do
link.
KYC kind of stuff or
No,
at
there's
all?
no
Oh,
personal information required. When you sign up, you literally just give whatever name you want, and that's it.
oh shoot.
Yeah,
Damn, I missed out.
yeah,
Damn, Arthur.
yeah.
Damn, Arthur, where you been at talking about that on CNBC? Your lack of KYC. Yeah, he's
Well,
popular
he
here in the
doesn't have to.
States.
I mean, he doesn't touch fiat, and he abides by the rules of Seychelles, and that's it. That it's all settled in Bitcoin, and they have a real cold wallet. You can only withdraw once a day. It's not a bullshit cold wallet. That's actually hot. It's never been hacked. It's legit, dude.
Yeah, so you got very few exchanges that haven't been hacked that have been around for a while
Yeah.
or had some sort of drama surrounding hacks.
Or
Even
have
Binance
50
kind of
million.
did.
Yeah, or $50 million stacked, touching each other bid and ask. Like you could buy, or depending on like when you're executing your order, you could buy or sell $50 million of Bitcoin and move the price like a penny, half a penny. Well, half a dollar. Their minimum tick is 0.5 now. They did it to like get more
Wow.
bandwidth out of their system. The order book's so thick. Like it used to be, you could just like, I used to be able to move the fucking order book because the orders are big. But like now, you can't move the order book. It's just gigantic. Like it's so fucking thick. You have to sell like 20 million to move it like $3. It's hard to do.
Wow. I'm gonna continue with the questions we have since we
Yeah,
have quite a few of them. But thank
yeah.
you, those are great answers so far. So have you recovered from your meltdown earlier this year? I
Well,
guess
it's
it kind
nice
of
to be
relates to
right.
it, but
I melted
yeah.
down at 8,500. Price is 8,000. Okay, I was right. It was the bear market. So once you end up being right, then it feels better to have been right early, I guess. The maximum profit you missed out on my meltdown was we had a bounce to 11.7 after, but we also dipped down to 58.55. So I was much more right than wrong. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so you got over it pretty quick. You recovered quickly. So any
It took a
thoughts on
couple
what?
months, dude.
Yeah,
Truthfully, like
a few months. Yeah,
yeah, because I was the Bitcoin maximalist guy, and then I'm like, well, fuck, like
identity loss.
actually, you have to use Monero to pay your employees because you don't want to mix your coins with crappy coins, and you don't want your employees to know how many coins you have, so you have to use Monero. Oh, and you know, there's just stuff you can't do with Bitcoin. Like, remember when the fees were $60 to send a single
Hmm.
transaction?
Yeah,
That sucks. Like, you have to get with the times, dude. There's some things about it which suck.
yeah, for sure. So any thoughts on whether Zcash can become the Swiss bank account of the future, and if so, how? Since you referred to Monero, I guess it kind of
Sure.
relates.
Yeah, Zcash is still garbage. Less than 3% of Zcash addresses uses the anonymity feature, which they call shielding. It's actually just a fork of Bitcoin, so you know. Uses the Bitcoin client, uses the Bitcoin addressing system. You know, it's a joke, and they pay 20% of every block to the founders, who just dump on you, which is part of why the price sucks. So, if you like a coin that has 20% founders tax and no actual anonymity, where only 3% of coins are shielded, I guess you could use that coin, or you could just use Monero, which was fairly launched and doesn't have a founder's tax, and I think has better bid-ask spreads, but don't quote me on it. Yeah, I don't like Zcash, and I never have. Now
Yeah,
maybe
it's
one
kind of
day it'll be good, but
it's hard to use, man. I tried to when it first came out. I was mining it literally the day it came out.
me
The
too.
minute it came out, I
Me
literally
too.
set up like a rig.
Me
Yeah,
too.
and I try to do these shielded transactions. Fees are huge. It used to take half an hour to create these transactions, and it
Yep.
was expensive. I think they've made some fixes since then, but it was hardly usable anyway.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So somebody wants to know actually how much Bitcoin do they need to retire? I mean, you're still kind of a big Bitcoin supporter on the inside. We're just in a bear
So
market, but
yeah,
what do you?
I mean, if you if you make 75 grand a year, studies show that you've reached your like maximum efficient happiness. Less will make you less happy, but more won't make you much happier. So if you assume Bitcoin goes up on average, I don't know, 30% a year, just throwing a number out there. You need what, 210 grand over some long period of time to get 70 grand out per year. So, I mean, in theory, if you had 210 grand of Bitcoin and were able to eat through the volatility of like peaks and dips and just hold your winning earnings to last you through the bear markets, sure, maybe quarter million you could retire on if you were reasonable with your expenditure. It's just human beings are so bad at dealing with a giant stack of money and leaning on them that most people will just get wrecked. They'll just spend too much, and then the bear market will come, and then they'll be wiped out. And they'll have whatever they bought, which is nice. I mean, wouldn't it have been nice to have been a person with no self-control that bought a Lambo at 20K? It's like, fuck it, it's 20K, I'm buying a Lambo. Yeah, he did better than all us idiot holders, holding it down to
Yeah.
58, 55 2 months later. Oopsie, right? So there's something to be said with highly volatile things to like take some off the table.
Yeah, that's fair. So what's the best strategy for new people getting into crypto, Richard, that may or may not have lost their shirt recently to grow a meaningful stack at minimal risk of getting wrecked in the world of cryptoomics, he said.
Don't buy the top. Don't chase a pump. Wait for dump. If you know this stuff always dumps 40%, why not just wait for the 40% dump? Wait for the FUD. You know it's going to happen. You know the FUD's going to come. Look at the chart. You know there's going to be a 40% dip. Buy that, right? And we're already like what, 70% off of the cap. So let's say we're at 8K now, which is 12K from 20, which makes it a 60% drop. That's not bad. I think you could buy it cheaper. I do. And if we break 10K and like break 12K, all right, fine. Like maybe wait for the retest and buy that. Buy the dip, right? That's the saying. But don't be in a rush. Like we just had bear market for 7 months. Wait another 6 months, unless the chart does something crazy. And I came up with a cool idea. Maybe you think this is cool.
Hmm.
So if my fork turns out to be super duper valuable, which it's kind of structured to be, then you could get a lot of these fork coins for free using this tactic. You can tell me what you think about it. You buy more Bitcoin than you're used to buying on exchange. You overbuy it. You take the possession of the coin, but you cancel out the risk of having so much extra coin by opening up a short position at the same time, hedging it, canceling out the risk. So now, let's say you have $1 million, I'm just throwing this number out there. Let's say you have $1 million of Bitcoin, and you have $1 million short position open. You basically don't have any Bitcoin price risk. You just have counterparty risk, which, like BitMEX, they've never been hacked. It should be fine. As long as you did that for the 1 10-minute block where we snapshotted, you just got all those coins for free. And then you just unwind your positions. You just resell the coins you bought and close your short, and you paid like 0.000 something percent, like some tiny sliver, to be exposed to counterparty risk for like that tiny little amount of time. And you just got all these free tokens in the airdrop because you're in the snapshot. That seems like a good idea to get free profit, because like you didn't pay anything for those coins. They can only go up. Like you got them for free. Like the percentage returns you get on stuff you get for free are thousands of percent. It'll cost you maybe 30 cents to claim it.
I do want to remind people that it's not financial advice for sure. Just
Yeah.
to put
I'm
that
not a
out there,
registered
guys.
financial advisor. Do your own research. you
Yeah,
know.
but you're onto something. A lot of people do that kind of thing. They take that opposite end as well. They go long and short to
You
minimize
get free
risk. So that's a
coins.
good point.
You get free coins. You get a
Yeah, so
free
you want to talk
airdrop.
about that? What kind of coins are you talking about? What's your project look like?
Oh,
And it's an
yeah, sure.
airdrop?
So I took the Bitcoin UTXO set, which is just like basically all the people that have Bitcoin, and we copy it, snapshot it, remove the Mt. Gox addresses so they can't dump on us. We don't like those people. Penalize the whales if you have over a
That's,
thousand coins to
you get a
10,000 coins.
75% penalty, right?
Right.
If you
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
crazy.
if you're too stupid as a whale to like split your coins up to like get past my filter, if you're a stupid whale, it's called the stupid whale penalty, then you just lose 75% of your stack. You can't dump on us, right? There's no advantage to having like some big exchange that doesn't care about your project, hold a bunch of your coin to dump on you later for fun. Screw that. Like how did they add to the ecosystem, right? So we take the UTXO set, we apply the stupid whale penalty, we remove the Mt. Gox addresses, and now if you have a Bitcoin, you get a Bitcoin hex. But if you get it early, you get 10% more. If you refer somebody, you get 5% more. If you refer yourself, you get 5% more. And then every week, or every 10 days, I have to look at the contract, all the people that didn't claim their coins lose 2% of their stack to the people that did. And you only get those bonuses if your coins are locked up so that you can't sell them. They're just locked in the smart contract. And if you get your lock in earlier, you get paid a higher interest rate. So like every single thing is built so that the early adopters get a lot and the people that get late get screwed. And that metric of not being able to claim later, like you could claim your Bcash whenever you want. Like if you had Bitcoin at the snapshot, the fork day, you could claim your Bcash whenever you want and dump it, right? Like Satoshi could come and just dump the Bcash market whenever. But in my project, after 50 weeks, can't nobody dump anymore. All their coins are gone. Satoshi's coins are gone. They were given to the people that claimed, unless he claims, which was fine. I'm not sure he will. I think he's dead. But Satoshi, if you're watching, you can claim your Bitcoin hex. I don't mind. Just split it into groups of 1,000 so you don't eat the stupid whale penalty. 9.99 actually. What else? I put in every game theory thing I could to make it work. If more people adopt it, the bonuses get larger. If you lock up for a longer time, the payments get larger. It's awesome. Like I put in every game theory thing I could to reward early adopters. And then if everyone tries to do what the early adopter does, the reward's lower. So if everyone starts staking their coins and like increasing inflation, it massively drops the reward for new stakers by like 10x pretty much. It's cool. I really like the project.
Yeah, and how did you come to that? Because before you were a Bitcoin maximalist hardcore, like you were the face of it. After Tone Vase, I would say you were up there. You were one of the hardcore boys. And
Yep.
suddenly it was just such a switch during Ivan on Tech's channel is where I first heard about it. When you said that no, you know what? I'm actually not a maximalist anymore. I actually, you know what? I'm kind of joining the wagon of if everybody's making money with these coins, why shouldn't I make my own? So is that
So
kind of how it came to be, or how did the idea come to be?
when you tell enough people not to buy Ethereum and they all hate you because you robbed them of their mad gains, you have to like re-look at the advice that you give people. So you may be technically correct that Ethereum is more risky and gets hacked more often, but the people that bought that more risky thing made more money than you in a shorter time. So I held Bitcoin from 2011 onward, and I didn't make as high returns as people that bought Ethereum and held for a year or two. That pissed me off. And it pissed off everyone that took my advice and didn't get long that stuff back when it was really, really cheap. And so if you don't want to like wreck your followers or like give bad advice, you kind of need to update your worldview. And, if you keep saying to everybody, ICOs are garbage, but the people that play that game make mad gains, you should at least append that knowledge to your advice, right? You should at least say, look, these things shouldn't work. They suck. They're bad business ideas done by the wrong teams with the wrong incentive structure. But if you got in early enough, you're going to get like mad, crazy returns. But if you get in late, you're going to get wrecked. Like you're the guy that made the returns for the other people. You have to include that last part, right? Or else you're screwing people over. You're telling them that the project's terrible, but then if they had done the opposite of your advice, they would have been more financially enriched.
Yeah,
So I'm
sorry,
not.
one moment. My dog is like barking to
Go
leave
ahead.
real quick, whining.
Sure.
You can keep talking. I'll just
Sure.
join in and
All
listen,
right.
just like everybody
Yeah.
else.
So, if you're giving people advice that isn't maximally beneficial to them, you really should stop and re-look at your worldview and try and get the advice you give to to give people maximum benefit and maximum result. And so as much as I hate ICOs, I think that the only way to kill them is with better ICOs, with better business models. Complaining to regulators doesn't work. Trying to convince noobs not to be noobs doesn't work. These things pump like crazy. So what can you do? You can't even short them. And if you do short them, you get wrecked. The only thing you can do is make better projects. I think that marketing good projects is the only way to kill off bad projects. And as far as like alternate currencies go, if none of these things are adopted anyway, and the most interesting component of any of these things is their speculative value, then what matters most about a currency is that it goes up in price and you win the speculative game with it. So a lot of things that shouldn't matter do, like how many coins are locked up, right? So if it's true that these are all ticker symbols or numbers on a roulette wheel, and everyone wants to see which one can speculate the hardest to win the real, actual, useful, good long-term currency, Bitcoin or whatever, then pumpamentals matters more than fundamentals a lot of the time, as long as you're not buying top. It's just math. I mean, can Bitcoin 10x right now? Can it go to 80,000? Sure. But, are you more likely to see a 10x on the coin that you got for free? Yeah, you just are. It's just how math works, dude. It's much easier for a small thing to do a 10x than an absolutely gigantic, largest thing in the whole crypto ecosystem. So my original change was like, oh God, I have to use Monero to pay people. And then it's like, oh, these other things actually utility. And then it's like, oh, the followers could have made more money. And not that I'm giving financial advice, but you get the idea.
We put that out of the way. You can
Yeah.
give whatever.
And then it's just like, at some point you're like, all right, I can't do the maximalism thing anymore. I can still shit talk crap coins, but guess what? They hold their value. So like, okay, like why isn't IOTA dead yet? Network doesn't function. Developers literally like attack actual cryptographers that actually do that for a living. Like, why is it we're still so much money still? And if you,
Yeah, you were pissed about it because you couldn't generate a paper wallet. I think you can now, though.
no, I can't, like, that is not why I was pissed, because
No.
that's it. Like, because I'm a smart guy and can generate a wallet myself, that should give me competitive advantage, and it should make it an artificially depressed price, and then when they fix it, it should go up. That's not why I hate it. I hate it for the reason that it just doesn't function and never will function, and is a terrible business idea anyway. Machine economy, there's not a machine economy. Nobody's machines are trying to spend money without a human checking over them. It's not a thing. It doesn't exist. Retarded. Like, so stupid. Hey, did you see a drone flying around delivering something today? No, you fucking didn't. It's not a thing yet. It's probably not going to be a thing for a good while. Stop pretending it is and, like, building out for it. Like, it's retarded. Use the Lightning Network. Works better. Like, anyway, so my point is, like, if your worldview doesn't account for that project being worth billions of dollars, you need to stop just shit talking and just accept that stupid ideas become worth a lot of money, and make that part of your worldview, and update your worldview,
Yeah, but you had, I'm sure, some negative things to say about Ethereum before. How come those
I still
don't
do.
hold true?
I leave
Yeah?
my site up. I wrote an essay on how shitty Ethereum is, and it's all true. It will always be attacked more. It has more attack surface. It gives you maximum rope to hang yourself with. However, all the things that suck about it, you can route around a lot of them by just using the smallest sliver of it possible that has already been tested the most, which is the ERC20 part, which is what we're using, the one where you just make new tokens. If you do anything above and beyond that, you open yourself up to tons more risk. So Ethereum sucks in all the ways I've always described. If you want to get on exchange and have huge wallet support and have, good ways to build new stuff, that's the only game in town, really. And I like my project. I like trustless interest. I like that you can lock up your tokens and get interest without a counterparty. That's great. That should exist, right? You can do it at a bank. You lock up your money, you give your return. We just do it with a smart contract with only public functions. There's no magic numbers. There's no ability to turn it off. It's all public functions. That should exist. And I'm paying dearly to developers to build it, and I couldn't do it with Bitcoin. So it's about that easy.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, people are saying they're getting depressed, man. You're being kind of bearish
Why?
for them.
Just
I don't know,
wait
they're
6 months, you crybaby little bitches. Just wait 6 months and we'll pump again. And it'll be bull run and it'll be full GIFs to the moon like hell. I mean, what's the big deal? Just wait, dude.
we're gonna have to get you back on when you're in a bullish mood, man.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Okay, so okay, that's a silly question. Okay, actually, people are asking a lot. What do you think about side chains? So that's one I've seen a bunch of times that people are interested. Are those going to make Bitcoin, like maybe even the core side of it, less relevant? What's your position on
I've been
side chains?
begging and crying for Bitcoin Core to do sidechainy, tokeny, allow others to launch their tokens on it kind of stuff, which drive chains and side chains and all these other things would help occur. And then people would have a reason to launch their tokens on the Bitcoin ecosystem instead of the Ethereum one. But there's no progress. Rootstock sucks, and they have a founder's tax as well. I think they take 20% of every block. That's like Bitcoin's version of Ethereum on Bitcoin. Drive chain's never going to happen. The dude that's in charge of it, Paul Sports, he Paul Storts, he can't get the developers to even interact with him to like go over the very hard and verbose work that he does. And then the chance of having a hard fork to get the opcodes put in that he wants to kind of make it work, it's just not happening. I mean, I've been begging for drive chains and side chains to be a thing since it would have pumped my BTC bags, right? And got some of that sweet launch new tokens on this other network kind of stuff going. It's just not happening, you know?
That's fair. I mean, I feel I was a little bit upset about Rootstock at first too, and I'm not trying to be negative at all. But I mean, like the tax that was added came significantly after we were all excited about Rootstock's potential, and I think that's what kind of made it fail, if you could say, or get less traction
It's
for
like,
sure.
why would I launch my token on fake Ethereum on the Bitcoin network when I can launch it on real Ethereum with better support? Why would I want to beta test a new network? No, like why? No, it's stupid.
Yeah. By the way, somebody refutes. Actually, Brandon here says IOTA is so much more than what Richard describes. Remember when he said the worst wallet? Ask him if he's seen Trinity or stayed up to date on the Ledger Nano S integration. I don't know if you
Yeah, let
followed
me
that at
let me
all.
tell you what's going on with IOTA right now. People decided to actually abuse its shittiness and abuse its lack of consensus functionality to start side chaining the real network to sub networks, and now there's multiple real networks, and then your little node can't figure out where to stick its real transaction and can't figure out which transactions happened first, things along that line. And so when you look at a visual graph of what's happening to the tangle, which is their directed acyclic graph, there's a side tangle now, and I think there's more side tangles because their choice of consensus mechanism is garbage, and their tech sucks.
So it's like a,
And
a fork that happened within their network that created
right,
two different tangles.
right, and I think that the tangles have subtangles too, and you can't do business on something that doesn't have a single immutable ledger, which is the whole game. The whole game of a blockchain is to have a single immutable ledger that everyone can trust. If you have sign tangles, you can't trust that you're on the right one. Like, how do you know you're on the right one? Oh, you're the decider, the human? Okay, well, you just broke the whole thing. Like, that's just run a SQL database, and now you're the decider, and it has infinite transaction scalability, and you're Amazon now. Like, it's stupid. But
Yeah,
no one cares because it
yeah,
just holds their value. So
yeah. If that's true, then I can see that being pretty detrimental for sure. And even trying to get consensus after it's already split up sounds like an impossibility unless you created some sort of, I don't know how you, again, like how you'd figure out what the real chain is. So that can be pretty
it
bad. I
doesn't
wonder.
matter because no one actually uses this stupid shit for anything except turning it back into fiat or Bitcoin on an exchange. That's the only
Speculation.
utility it has.
Yeah,
You
that's
cannot
fair.
buy a fucking thing with it. It is just a speculative thing. So it doesn't need a
Oh,
utility. It doesn't need a functioning network. The price didn't go down when the network stopped working because no one needs to actually sell it. They're just happy to sit there and please Ponzi, keep going.
yeah. What are your thoughts on actually before I get into that, Adam had a question about what happened, and I have no idea what this is about. What happened between you and Chris DeRose? What's that about? What went down?
No comment.
No comment.
So you're in life, you have like two options to deal with trolls. You can either reward trolls by being shitty and giving them press, or you can just ghost them. I do the ghost thing. If you troll me, you get nothing. You're just
Yeah,
like you don't exist.
that's
So I
fair.
don't get
Okay,
trolled that much.
so it was a kind of trolling situation. I
Yep.
I, I won't know. I guess people can look that up themselves if they want to I guess, figure out for themselves what happened. But the blockchain authority wants to know, what are your thoughts on EOS and Cardano? Now, you're saying you don't want to, battle test a new network, so maybe that's why you didn't put it on EOS. But what do you think? Are you negative about it? Positive?
It's just a different.
Cardano?
So I don't know much about Cardano. I know EOS is just a federated choice. They're just like, okay, we want more throughput, so now we have 21 voters. Cool. Okay. So now the government like shuts down 21 things and your project stops. Okay. If that's what you want. If you want more throughput nobody needs to have gigantic government shuts you down risk, go ahead, right? I wish I could get rid of this stupid cough. If you go out a lot and you yell a lot in the club, lose your voice, dude.
And followers, apparently, if you post about
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah. Apparently some people just want their mad gains. They don't want to see pictures of you flopping around on the dance floor. Can't blame them. I don't know. If Vitalik started posting dance videos of himself, I'd probably follow with extra accounts just to reward him, you know?
I guess it depends on the moves. We gotta
Yeah,
we gotta
right?
get you some new moves, man. Maybe.
So like, I got front flip videos, dog. Front roll, judo rolls, whatever. So,
Damn.
um, if you want federated, more throughput for censorship trade, go ahead, play on EOS. Fine, whatever, it's fine. If you want, I don't even have any idea what Cardano does. Like, whatever. None of these things has adoption. I just don't care. Like they don't. Great, another new way to build stuff that no one's going to use. Awesome.
But devil's advocate to what you're saying, though, technically, if some of them started getting taken down by governments, I mean, that would leak and they would just vote in a new block producer. So they kind of tried to figure out a way
You think that people are going to line up to be a block producer when the last guy did 20 or 30 years for violating some rule, of which there are many they could choose from, right?
maybe
I'm not going to
anonymous.
list them, but let me just tell you that a creative prosecutor will make you accept a plea bargain.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point. I mean, because people want to vote in block producers who are more public figures, people they can trust, people who have been supported. So even if you were to supposed to like be an anonymous,
By the way, your
block
voting
producer-
doesn't matter because the like 8 accounts hold enough coins to win every vote. So you actually don't matter. Your vote actually doesn't matter. It's a complete fucking farce. So if you want the 21 block producers with the 8 guys that actually control the votes, go ahead, dude. I mean, that's your choice, right? If
Yeah.
it never
What do you
gets
think
attacked,
about-
maybe it's fine.
What do you think about Litecoin?
I don't know. It's a good test bed for new stuff. It got SegWit before Bitcoin did. I like
Yeah,
that.
that's what I've
It-
said. Yeah.
I think it had atomic cross swaps before Bitcoin did. So like, fine, go for it, dude. I mean, like any of these tokens that serves and has liquidity and doesn't get hacked at its like root level has utility for liquidity and moving coins between exchanges and such. I don't have a problem with that. And they're not stealing miners from Bitcoin. They don't use SHA-256. They use scrypt. So works for me, dude. I don't mind it.
Yeah, but you're also kind of against mining in general a little bit with your coin, like you talked
But
about
we don't have
that.
any mining. Oh yeah, so like my coin, there's no. So like you pay miners with inflation to keep your network secure. We're just piggybacked on ETH. So after 50 weeks, there's no inflation. The only inflation comes from people that locked up their coins and made them unusable. Any coin that gets mined, you have risk of network forks. You have inflation from paying them block rewards to do the security. And they also can screw with your transaction ordering too, which I guess that can happen in Ethereum as well. So you may have heard of one of these Ponzi scheme style things, which I won't promote, that, if you put money in.
I'm actually interested. I thought it was interesting game theory, and as somebody who's interested
Yeah.
in it too. I
Yeah.
mean, like, yeah. I mean, if you want to talk, you don't have
I
to
won't
name
promote it. If you know what it is, great. If you don't know
FOMO
about
3D.
it, that's fine. There you
Proof
go.
of habits, whatever.
Yeah. So
People are
basically,
interested in it in the chat. Yeah.
if you bake a game, if you play that game, you're fucking retarded. If you play that game, you are fucking retarded. Let me explain to you why. If your metric for win condition is last person to do a thing, and that metric is controlled by the miners, then a miner gets to decide who wins. So back when ICOs were a thing, and they had caps on getting in early, miners would front run everyone else's transactions, not process them, and stick theirs in front, because they can do that. That's what miners can do. They get to decide who gets transactions get in and whose transactions do not. So if you play a game where the miners get to decide who wins, let me guess, the winner won't be you. It will be the miner. So you're playing a game that the miners get to decide who wins, but you're too stupid to know that because you don't understand how blockchains work. And you don't understand that the miners aren't friendly and they will fuck you. So if you play a game that, like that game you mentioned, where the winner is the last person to do a thing, that last person will be a miner, and you're probably not one. So you're
But
going to
they would
lose.
have to collude in order to make that happen, no?
No, not really. They would just need to be the lucky one. So if every miner is out to fuck you, it doesn't matter which miner fucked you. You don't really care which miner made you not win. You just know that you're not a member of the set of people that were going to win. One of the miners will fuck you, because they're not stupid, right? Like they're
It
not.
seems difficult though because like this game has 24 hours basically, and every time somebody tries to be the last person to put money in, it resets the timer. And we've seen the timer not really stray past 24 hours before like the last person wins. So it
Well,
seems
in
to
which
me
case,
like
then you're joining a game where there's never a winner. I mean, that's the other option. Either one of them doesn't seem like a great condition. Like,
yeah, well that's why they added the other part of it where you get dividends as more people put money in and reinvest it as like a secondary game theory element to it.
here's what I know: if you get my token for free, pretty hard to lose money. If you buy a Ponzi that has already had total and complete attacks on its smart contract, so that interest paying function, the airdrop function of it has already been 100% hacked. So 2% of the value of that contract is already 100% hacked. And you can go on ftrader.reddit.com, and it was a top thread there yesterday, the day before, if you want to execute the attack yourself. And this isn't the first time they've had to redeploy their entire contract. So their team of contract devs have had to redeploy their contracts several times. If you want to buy the top and get into something that's risky as fuck, you're gambling, like hard gambling. I don't know what you could invest in that is more risky, pretty much.
I mean, I see the smart contracts to be the scariest thing because if something was to come out, kind of like we saw the locked up ether that was locked up after the parity issues, the multi-sig
Right.
wallets, then that would kind of suck, especially if the game has been going on for a long time. They have substantial amounts of ether, and the community
Right.
wants the hard fork to make that contract null, and everybody loses money. Or where does that money go? Do they just
So
delete it? Like, what do they
like
do?
I can explain to you the attack that already occurred on their contract. So basically, they were doing random number generation on the blockchain, which apparently is risky for some reason. And then there was a way that you could submit, like deterministically, a bunch of attempts at winning, and then only actually execute the ones that were guaranteed to win. And then as long as your cost and gas and whatever other thing you had to input was lower than the win condition, then you would just make your own smart contract, rob their smart contract over and over and over again. And then people basically improved on the way they were robbing their smart contract, by running their code differently, so that like the failure that their contract had, the Just Team contract, it was not the result of something upstream. It was their own coding fault, right? So they tried to say, oh well, this wasn't well documented behavior, but it was. It was well documented enough. So, I mean, this team has already lost money multiple times. I don't know why you would have certainty that they wouldn't do it again. They haven't even gone through an audit. So my contract, is going to be delayed by a month just for the audit to get the world's smartest smart contract devs to go through it and make sure that there's no bugs, right? So we do our own complete test coverage with linting and fuzzing the contract to make sure that every single possible state results in stable outcome. They didn't do that, obviously. So if you're putting your money in some place where intelligent people will screw up and lose money, because this stuff is really super hard. If you make an advanced smart contract and you don't have it audited, and you don't fuzz it, and you don't lint it, and you don't have smarter people than you look it over, you're going to get fucking hacked. You are. So I just guarantee there's more attack surface there that's unexploited.
Yeah, I mean the developer who put that on the Ethereum Reddits, Peter S. I don't know what his last name, how to pronounce it. He talked about that. I mean,
Yeah.
and it could be that possibly. I mean, it's thousands of lines of code that was holding like $12 million at the time he put this out there, and that definitely makes it pretty complicated when you look at some of the other smart contracts that can do quite a bit, but they're a lot simpler. So I mean, with this nascent technology, for sure, you need to get the world's best auditors, ideally. And they said they had like 10 audits, but I have
Bullshit.
yet to see
Bull
what
fucking
these audits
shit.
were.
What, like, name drop them? Like, your audit's as useful as the name attached to it. Period. Or show me the test results. Like, I don't buy that shit.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, okay, let me continue here. Let's move past that one. So, who would win in a fight? Wants to know Bob England between you and Ver in the MMA.
I can throw a good punch, and Veer's a black belt. He'd rape me. So I did 3 years of martial arts. I did American Kempo, and we did some past the guard, lock flow, small circle jiu-jitsu stuff. I'm pretty sure Roger Ver would rape me. I'd have like a 3 or 4% chance. I hit him with a decent strike, stun him. But even like black belts, they fucking train all the time, dude. Like, I think I'd be 3% chance to win it.
Yeah, that's not bad. There's a chance that you'd win. I wonder who's the
I
bigger
throw a
guy
good
then.
punch, dude. But I mean, if you train, that's what you're used to. You're like, yeah, haha, we train against that. So like,
Yeah, Kempo's not bad. And it's all about like, I mean, momentum, right? Like if you throw a miss swing, regardless of how small it could be, he could still
yeah,
probably kick your butt.
yeah. I mean, look, even if you connect, you're like, oh well, it didn't hit as hard as I needed. It grazed, it glanced. It's super hard to hit moving target, dude. Try hitting someone that's moving sometime. It's hard as fuck.
Especially if they know how to move. That's fair.
Mm.
So why Bitcoin is the hail to the king despite ETF price manipulation, Hex, CFD, and your experience as a forking coder?
A forking coder. Um, so our fork is totally different than any other fork because we're just literally not using any Bitcoin code at all. The only thing we're forking is the holders, the UTXO, the people that hold it. So like we don't have block sizes, we don't have block timing, we don't have any of the stuff that normal forks have to deal with. We don't have 51% attacks. Um, that's nice. That's all upside. What other block what other Bitcoin forks have to deal with is a fucking nightmare. Like if you go on bitcoinhex.com, I wrote basically a little essay about how fucked up other Bitcoin forks are. You see them get attacked all the time. So Bitcoin Gold got attacked, 51% attacked, because you can rent the hash power. I won't name drop where you can rent hash power, but you can. Um, you know, so being a smart contract version of Bitcoin is nicer from that perspective that you're not worried about 51% attacks or soft forks or hard forks or, you know, dev team or pushing out a new XEXE that screws people, right? Like fake wallets, none of that stuff is an issue, but it is an issue with all other forks. Um, CFD is like delayed until Bitcoin Hex is launched and happy. It's
What's
just
CFD?
very,
I don't know what that
well,
is.
so my buddy wrote a computational fluid dynamics program, which is super, super cool. However, it needs middleware built to like plug in with other stuff that people do their models in, and it needs a processing network behind it, and people need to be rewarded properly for joining that processing network. So picture like folding at home, but with a token, or picture Golem or Sonam, but with only CFD to start with, stuff like that. I delayed that because a lot of the stuff was relying on me, and it was just so if you compete in CFD, your like total market cap is like lower than if you compete in currency. So Bitcoin Hex should have a larger market cap because it competes in currency than any DApp would normally have, because currency appears to be more valuable in crypto than actual things that need adopted, right? Like crypto kitties. Crypto kitties will always be worth less money than most crap coins, because most crap coins get to be currencies and the kitties gets to be a game, and games aren't worth as much as currencies. So like what vertical you select matters. So I get a better vertical with less work, with higher market cap. It's just easier to do Hex than the CFD coin. I still would love to take all the extra hashing power that's out there and put it to good work instead of useless work. So useful proof of work that like made the world a better place while burning electricity is better until more 51% attack happens. Like if more 51% attacks happen, then reducing your security by making it more affordable to do the attacks by being able to sell the useful productivity of the hashing, that would be a bigger problem. But right now, these things don't get attacked very often, and we are burning hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of electricity every year. Vitalik had a very good quote here. The amount of damage that had been done to the environment through the burning of electricity, through proof of work hashing, exceeds all of the hacks that have ever occurred in crypto combined by an order of 10. So burning this electricity, it is a huge cost. And if you're not getting the security that you think you need out of it, you might want to change your not your threat model, but your response model to reduce your waste and be more efficient, which a useful proof of work would do.
So how does it feel to still support Bitcoin even though it is doing that damage still, you know? Like, would you want it to necessarily go the way of the birds and have Ethereum at the top or something else that is more environmentally friendly eventually? Not that Ethereum is right now.
Well,
Or is that,
if Lightning, then save money. If technological breakthrough with sharding or delegated proof of stake or normal proof of stake, if any of those things works, then we get progress. And even if we don't get progress, the existing system sucks so bad and is so expensive that our version of suck is not worse than their version of suck. So having a Brinks truck drive around with dudes running it and giant buildings full of accountants, and it's very expensive. So the only saving grace for the waste of crypto is the fact that the existing system sucks so bad. If the existing system doesn't suck so bad, then it would actually be a pretty crappy deal. Or there could be one other savior. If we have to solve energy anyway, and we have to do fusion and solar anyway, then we may accidentally solve that problem. I'm not sure that solution works though. I'm not sure cheaper energy actually solves the problem because you'll just use more cheap energy. There's a law that states that as things become cheaper, demand for them like goes up, not down, but I can't remember what the law is. It's not just normal supply and demand curve stuff. This is a different law that applies to it. It's like I told you earlier, like the demand for free storage is infinite. Something similar to that.
yeah, it's kind of related to supply and demand. I get what you're saying. More people will fire up their rigs, and that's going to increase security. But I mean, how much security is too much security eventually for Bitcoin?
Right.
I guess.
I mean, if I'll put it to you this way, you already have to wait a ton of confirmations anyway. Like, people hate it when I'm bearish, and people hate it when I attack the fundamentals. But guess what, guys? I'm here to tell you the truth, not the sugar-coated bullshit that gets me more followers. I don't really care if I get more followers, or I'd buy ads. If I wanted more followers, I'd put my little credit card in the little ad button and go buy more followers, right? The truth of the matter is, using crypto sucks. Let's say that you go on an exchange and you want to turn your Bitcoin into Monero to pay someone. Let me tell you what that looks like. You load up your Bitcoin wallet. You wait for it to sync. You get the new address because you're not supposed to reuse addresses. Reduces your security. So you have to log into the exchange. You do your 2FA. You hope you don't have a new IP and have to click an extra button by email or some crap.
Bitrix.
Then you send your money and you wait. And for some reason, the amount of confirmations they make you wait, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 4, they always seem to be a confirmation behind. So it's really like 5. If it's supposed to be 4, it ends up being 5 somehow. So now you're in 50 minutes. If you actually got 10-minute blocks, sometimes it takes an hour or 2 to get a block. Then you're in an hour and a half just to get your fucking coins on the exchange. Then you've got to use their user interface to actually try and perform a market sell, which some exchanges don't even have market sell. They just have limit sell. Have fun with that. And then now you finally have your Monero and you want to get your Monero out. Now you submit another transaction and wait for another 3 or 4 confirmations for it to be in your wallet so that you can send it so that the person that receives it can wait 3 or 4 confirmations. You're like 4 or 5 hours in, dude. If you have Bitcoin and you need to exchange it and send somebody some Monero, that shit takes 4 or 5 hours, man.
Yeah,
And
it's
then,
really frustrating rebalancing. Absolutely, that's like a whole day affair.
yeah, and then you're like, okay, what exchange rate are we using? Oh, they don't live in America, so they don't use dollar. So now do I use the shitcoin exchange rate on their weird currency pair to Monero? Or do I use like the dollar one and like convert from their weird currency to dollar and then use the larger liquidity dollar to crypto one? And then do I lock in the price when I sent, or do I lock in the price when I should have sent? And then what happens if there's a big price move in the middle? Do we split the fuckage? Actually using crypto actually sucks. Just letting you know. Most of you guys don't actually use it, so you don't know shit from shit.
Yeah. Okay. Happy cancellation. What? Got a comment. Happy cancellation of paper-backed BTC ETF Gold 2.0. We don't need ETF or future market. Okay.
Well, okay. We don't need new money. Well, you want the price to go up, dude? I want the price to go up, so I would like new money. Yeah, that would be nice. You need the price to go up for this shit to work. Like, we're not replacing the dollar unless the price goes up a lot. So that's the game, dude.
Yeah. Okay. This is an interesting one because you always do your videos in the same kind of location. So I think this is an important one, Richard. This is exciting.
All right, I'm ready.
But I break it. I want to know, they say, why he sits on a throne. Where did he buy the throne? Was it expensive? Do they custom make thrones, or did you just find one?
I have a very unique style. I like contrast and texture and opulence and depth. So if you look at any royal palace or king's area or place where the most powerful in the world make decisions, they're usually red and gold, black and gold, chandeliered, Baroque. It's just how it is. And an outlier, an exception to that would be the White House, which has, because it's a much more recent government, a much more recent design. So, back in the old days, the people that controlled the world were often European or Chinese. And if you look at their color schemes and shapes and geometries that indicated this is the best there is, and anything less than this is less. Like, that's what this stuff is, right? So crystals and gilded things and bright, powerful colors with gold. It's a timeless expression of excellence, which you can't beat it. So if you try and do other genres of modernism with furniture or interior design, you could be different, but you can't be more baller. You can't cost more money. There's no more baller than crystals and gold gilded stuff. It's just every castle that you go through in the world, that's what's in there for the most part.
So, why did you feel the need to live in a castle and a throne and to feel that opulence? I mean, does it help you?
Well, if you like to look poor, then you could do that, right? I mean, you could, it's the Rolex that's in all the ads. The blue one, the Submariner that goes 300 meters. I don't even scuba dive, dude. I'm never going 300 meters ever, unless my plane crashes and sinks. That's the only way I'm going 300 meters under the water. Why did I buy this one? I could have bought a Patek Philippe that looks like a Timex and costs 8 times the money. I like when people know that I'm useful. I like signaling that I have utility. I like people to, when they look at me, not have to break their balls to figure out that I'm cool. So I like to dress better, have better production quality, production value, have good posture, have good tonality, enunciate, speak to the back of the room, have good facial expression. Presentation is how you make other people feel good. And if you care about how other people feel, then you need to bring your A game and pluck your eyebrows and get a shower and get a tan and put on some perfume and, starch your collar and try and make an effort. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. So once you realize fashion exists and once you realize presentation exists, it just becomes something to get good at. Early in life, I didn't know this stuff existed. I wore a Led Zeppelin t-shirt every day to school. Every fucking day. Every day. Didn't get any dates. Turns out you can't wear the same band's t-shirt every day to school. It's not fashionable. So,
maybe to one girl who loves Led Zeppelin as much as you.
yeah.
But she'd have to be a catch, because it would have to go beyond the shirt eventually, and your pickings are gonna be small at that point. Yeah. So that's a good point. I mean, I've been listening to Jordan Peterson's book on Audible, And Jordan Peterson talks about this phenomenon about lobsters when they lose a fight tend to release less serotonin in the brain, which gives them like a slumped posture, and they run away afterwards from fights.
Yep.
And if you want to get a little bit more serotonin and feel better about yourself, and I think the world is kind of a mirror. It definitely reflects back to you what you give it, and you carry yourself better with a little bit of respect. So I can see that tying into this absolutely.
It
Yeah.
this stuff, it works everywhere. So the same things that make you attractive to women make you attractive in business. Like the same frame control and positivity and bringing value and caring about other people's feelings. That stuff works across your family, your friends, your lovers. It's really, really super, super useful. And if you've never tried to be a better person and make the people around you feel better, you should give it a shot. And if you want to make the people around you feel better, they're the ones that have to look at your ass. You're not staring in the mirror all day. They have to fucking look at you. Brush your teeth, scrape your tongue, try and be a better person.
Yeah. There's nothing more frustrating than being around like close to somebody with bad breath or having to smell them. The very least you could do is that for sure. So let me see this. This is a question from Shao Bun Kun here in the live stream. The great, are blockchains other than Bitcoin actually useful? To go back to blockchain,
Sure.
what are the nice properties of a blockchain that is not as decentralized as Bitcoin and doesn't have its own hashing power?
Well, they're just different trade-offs, right? So if you want higher throughput with lower security, if there's a tax, lower security. If there's not a tax, no security is fine. I'm stretching the word fine, but you get the idea. If you want higher throughput, or maybe you got in early and you just want to see that thing be more successful because you own so much of it, then every blockchain provides immutability to some degree. Even if it gets 51% attacked, at least you were good up to the attack and had a good version of immutability to that point. If you want to pretend that other blockchains don't have value, you're not looking at the charts. I mean, if the most value a blockchain thing can have is that the price goes up, and it's all speculative anyway, you have to stop shit talking things that go up. It's how it is, man. So if new blockchains go up, and that's all this stuff is mostly valuable for right now, all right, just don't be the last guy in, I guess.
Pumpamentals. So are we going to see a big dip because of CME? How do futures tie in right now to the price of Bitcoin, even though they might not have that much volume? Do you think
The
they
volume's
do
going
affect
up.
it?
The
Yeah.
volume's going up. You can't know. So like what everyone asks, they're like, all right, what if the stock market's crash? What's Bitcoin going to do? My prediction is going to go down like everything else, and fiat will go up. That's my prediction. But maybe it goes the other way. Maybe it becomes a safe haven. Could happen, right? And if not now, at some point in the future, it would make sense because it's cash and it's got really cool properties. So you can't predict what things are going to do until they kind of start to do them, right? It's like when you saw that we couldn't break 20K, you could have known to open up a short there, right? You're like, oh, the decision's been made, an event occurred, they didn't buy they bought the rumor, sold the news, they didn't buy the news, so you could have known to choose a direction after the event occurred. And the same thing applies with ETF or rumors of. Maybe we pump on ETF. Maybe we dump on ETF. You don't know because you don't know how heavily everyone else got in beforehand, right? And that's the game. Like if people were waiting and didn't get in, okay, well, there's money left on the sidelines. If people are already long as shit and leveraged and there was no money left, well, how are you supposed to predict that? It's really hard to know those things just staring at a chart. I mean, what are your tools that you have? Some trend lines, some averages, some indicators, some Google search volume, maybe some chain analysis. Unless you've got an inside track at the exchange looking at their bank account, pretty hard to make super accurate decisions with just that data, over a short time frame. Over a longer time frame, it's a little bit easier. It's a lot
Yeah, it'll be
easier.
more useful if it actually lets ETFs pass because they exist now.
What
I
if
mean, we would
ETF
at least.
passes and no one fucking buys it? Then we have the same thing again that we have with CME. It got passed. We got the CME. We got the biggest market in the world, and price fucking died. So
Well,
just
more
getting on a
people
new
are
market doesn't matter.
people
You
are
need
more
people
into
to buy it.
stocks and ETFs than understand options and puts and calls and all that. I feel like.
Yeah, but I bet you I could find some ETFs that don't sell shit. Like I bet you I could find some ETFs that are considered like failures. Probably. Like I
Yeah,
don't think that we get listed on an ETF and it's just like Pumpsville. I think it needs to be decided to be Pumpsville after it happens, and then we can like go with it. You know. I'll
yeah.
tell you
Like
what. I'm not going to be margin long into a fucking ETF. Is all I'm telling you. Like I'm just not doing it. Like next time
I
I
don't even know
call a perfect
how you
top,
do
I'm
it
like
'cause
not gonna fuck it up.
yeah, they delay these things. I think they can delay it up to 280 days. These decisions. If you're going to go long before the hearing, that might be a terrible thing to do. For sure. I mean, like who knows if it's going to actually pass or not? We might just
When
get a 92-page paper saying it's denied for this reason, like
yeah,
today.
or like or Mount Gox guy could dump on us, or Satoshi could spend one coin. If Satoshi spends a coin, watch what the price does, dude. You know, or like Ethereum could take over the fucking world or something. Like there's a lot of ors, right? Like you just kind of have to play it by ear. I feel pretty comfortable with like statements like bear markets don't resolve themselves in 7 months. That seems reasonable to me, you know? I'm not comfortable saying like, yeah, we're definitely going to pump or dump if an ETF gets approved or denied. It's just way too hard to know how the rest of the market like valued it going into it, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. And I have a question here about Digibyte, DGB. F-150 is looking out for a bunch of people here in the chat because a lot of people are actually wondering what you think about it, if you think about it. What's up with DGB?
I don't know. Apparently what they do is voting, and I don't care what idiots vote. Like most people are idiots. Their votes are bad, and allowing them to execute their votes on a blockchain, I don't find useful. People are stupid. So like, oh, now the stupid people have more control. I don't want that. Like, how is that useful to me? They're not devs, so they can't help the network get stronger. They're like, I don't see why that's useful.
And what about Ripple? What do you think about Ripple?
Well, it's a centralized shitcoin that doesn't even really use a wallet. You just use their website. Well, what if their website goes down? Well, you can fuck yourself. I don't know why anyone likes that. I mean, the technology, Ripple Labs technology that banks play with, is completely unrelated to the XRP token. And if you want to read how unrelated it is, do feel free to read the many lawsuits suing them for being unregistered securities. And, you know,
So they're trying to distance themselves from the coin,
right,
obviously.
right. They're like, please XRP pump, but you know, we don't really care if it pumps, but please pump, please. But actually, whatever, we don't really care. You know, we're not even related to it. Like, what? They're full of shit. You know, it's a big pre-mined shit coin. I think the founder owns like 60% of the coins or something.
Yeah. And the rest are locked up in a contract. I think like something like 20% more at least that they can, get after a few months or whatever. A certain amount every single month that they get that they could sell. They have the option to sell like 150 million a month, something like that.
If you look at the chart, when it goes down, boy, it goes down. And when it goes up, boy, it goes up. So I'm not a shitcoin guy, really. I don't know how to read shitcoin charts like a boss. I got the Bitcoin chart pretty figured out. But these weird alts with their very weird, like, vertical die for a year or two, vertical die for a year or two. I'm not really used to that. Maybe my Prime Coin bag will teach me how to handle that.
So we had Augur come out, and Augur created this prediction market whereby people can place a bet on a future event happening or not happening. And so there's this concern now going around about assassinations. Maybe somebody hates you, Richard Hort, enough to create a bet saying, like he'll die or whatever, and it pumps up, and then there's enough money in that side of the bet that somebody will take it up almost like a bounty. Or put enough money behind it because they already wanted that to happen. So what do you think about these assassination markets? Do you think it'll work out like that, or I don't know?
It's a giant problem. And like, it's like synthesizing DNA at home for kids. So angry kids get mad, they can't get laid, they try and hurt people. Right now they shoot 10, 20 people at a time. But when they can do DNA synthesis at home and make like their own little version of the bubonic plague, it's going to be worse. So there are things out there that do suck from technology, and this is one of those things. And I think you're going to need normal law enforcement to do normal, hard law enforcement work to fight those things becoming popular. You might just end up with a more friendly world. Like if law enforcement can't combat those things well enough, you just may end up with a whole shitload of more friendly people because they're afraid of getting the shit killed out of them. That would be the end of Richard
progress
Hart.
For society.
That would be the end of Richard Hart as we know
Interesting.
him. I would become a Buddhist monk at that point.
Yeah. We'll wait for it then. I mean, these markets exist right now, Richard. So maybe it's time to start, reading up on how to try to
Probably
be
should
politically
treat
correct.
them with the ghost protocol and not have the horror earlier than necessary. I would add that to my
Um,
like not talk about list probably.
yeah, let's do that. I'm not gonna ask that question. That's rude. Space Bird. Hey Omar, can you ask him about Chainlink? Do you know about Chainlink at all?
I know they make fences out of chain link because they're
It's
called
a
chain link fences.
they're the ones that are trying to create an oracle, like to create oracles for Ethereum, where basically it's a decentralized system where anybody can plug in data in a more
Won't work.
verifiable, decentralized way. Nah?
It won't work. Everything gets Sybil attacked. Like, oh, we're gonna trust this group of people. Oh, but the group of people got poisoned by these evil actors because it was profitable for them to do so. Oh, well, we'll just prevent it from getting poisoned. How? Being centralized, central authority. Oh, like Bitcoin's not fucking stupid. Like a lot of the stuff that's not in Bitcoin isn't there because it doesn't fucking work. Like it just doesn't work. So I don't think that they've solved oracles. I don't think anyone solved oracles, and I think if you do solve oracles, it's probably worth more than crypto. But we'll see.
The guy who asked that question from before said, "Hey, I paid good money." I know, sir, but we're not going to get anything out of that question. Should I ask it anyway?
Did he ask how
Probably
big
not.
my tits are? Go ahead. Let's see it.
Close.
Bring
It's
it.
close.
Bring
How
it.
does
Ask
Richard
the rude
feel?
question.
How does Richard feel about male lactation? Jeez.
I don't know. It's pretty rare. I think you have to have like Klinefelters or something.
I read about it. Like you could have somebody suck on your tits for like
Yeah.
3 months, and then eventually your body will release enough oxytocin to be like, "Hey, maybe this was a girl after all.
Well,
Like maybe you
there's.
were a woman," and then
I
lactate.
know a lot about titty milk because I happen to like girls with titty milk. So I know that you could have a drug called doperidome, I think it's called, or you could do that stimulation thing, or you could do both. There's been some Chan girls that like put out some great content for that stuff that were doing like that regimen of things. So I'm an expert on female lactation, but not so much on dudes.
That's
So
unfortunate. Well, I hope that helped answer a little bit, Brandon, of your question. Aaron wants to know, is Neo a shit coin? I guess in your eyes.
yeah, sure, why not? I mean, didn't they copy paste their white paper or whatever and run their whole server setup on like 10 servers in some dude's office? Like, I don't know, seems like a shitcoin to me. But
There you
hey,
go.
I mean, whatever.
Whatever floats your boat. How about Decred? And then I'll stop hammering you
Isn't
about
that the?
specific projects right now.
Oh, did I mix up the Decred and the Digibyte guys with their voting
I think you
bullshit?
mixed up. Wasn't that Tron who plagiarized? I don't know if it was like
I might have
Decred's the
mixed up
one.
Tron and Neo too. Yeah, I'm not a shitcoin guy, dude. They're all gonna pump and they have got partnerships and guess what? No one uses any of this shit. So like, I don't know. Which brand of shit that no one uses do you prefer? The Singapore brand, the China brand, the Taiwan brand? Which brand of no one's actually using any of this stuff do you prefer? Go to town. Like,
So in a long bear market, just thinking about that, like, what do you think would survive besides Bitcoin at the bottom, or would like a lot of these shit coins die off? Do you think they'll still have
no,
some sort of
everything's gonna
market?
survive. It's just a question of what price, right? I
I mean,
mean,
like, well, delisting off exchanges, I would argue is kind of death, depending where they have volume.
yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not an expert on it. I'm not familiar with how many coins get delisted. I'm not familiar with how crap coins do in bear markets. And I think that you can't be that familiar because, like, the last time we had a big bear market, there just wasn't this many crap coins, right? So, like, I don't know. This is the one thing I'm not qualified to speak to, is what happens to all the crap coins. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe they're bottomed out, and so I'll give you a bullish thesis for crap coins. These hedge funds that are getting all this money are fucking retarded, and they really do weight their portfolios by market cap, and most of the market cap or some large portion of it is full of shitcoins, and so these fucking assholes that don't know anything about anything are buying up all these shitcoins, which is why the shitcoins pump with Bitcoin, because they are related to each other. They're actually fucking not, but okay. Because these hedge fund idiots make them related, they are, on the price. I would prefer that when Bitcoin went up, shitcoins didn't move because they aren't fucking related. Like, but there's so many of these hedge fund idiots that believe they are, that they've made it so that I think that if and when Bitcoin finds its bottom, shitcoins will pump because
I
of the
mean,
hedge fund idiots.
But was it always the case? Because you're right. I mean, we see that, right? Like Bitcoin moves up and or like everything moves down at the same time, which is really annoying, frankly. Because if
Yeah.
you get bad news for one major coin, like why does that affect the whole rest of the market? And yeah, I hadn't thought that maybe it's because of the funds getting in there, but this has been happening since sub $10 billion market cap too. So I don't think the institutions were in just yet. Like, why was that happening back then? I still haven't figured that one out.
Yeah, dude. I fucking would love to know. I'd love to be an exchange owner and just monitor my customers and be like, why do you fuckers act like this? And which tabs are you clicking first? And are you hovering over that sell button right now? I wonder if that's like actionable knowledge. Like, like all the shit that you could do if you had, knowledge of the actual interface people are using to perform these trades. Or like even the Blockfolio app guy. Like people are entering their trades into that app and that's phoning that shit home. So I hear. That's good intel. I'm not sure how much utility he gets from seeing that aside from what's on the chart, right? Like, I would be curious what type of trading things you could do with better inside info.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
have the
think we all would
misfortune
love
of
some
not
that.
having any of those cool like levers to pull or look at.
I'm sorry about that, man. But at least you have a beautiful throne room and it's fine. I guess you could upgrade it eventually. Maybe get some like nice antiques in the background. That might be
I have nice
interesting.
antiques in the background.
Oh shoot,
I
damn.
have this
We gotta zoom out
this
a little
this
bit.
uh, this cabinet behind me is from like 1700 something. It's made of real
Dang.
wood.
It's the
Should have
real
done
stuff.
that.
It's got some weight to it, like I always
It's
say.
just me.
Uh,
Sorry.
Related, I guess. Ben George has a question for you.
I'm sorry.
He says, how did you become a billionaire? I didn't even know
I
you were.
Oh, well, you just notice that no one ever checks units, and then you could just claim billionaire as long as no one ever asks you in what. It's true. So I'm not a billionaire in USD. That's fucking hard to do. Like,
Damn. So
but
we're all
since
trillionaires in Zimbabwe dollars.
exactly right. So since people are so stupid that they don't even give a shit what you're a billionaire in, I'll put that in my profile, dude. Billionaire. I'm a multimillionaire, but if I can just write billionaire instead, all right, guys. If that's what's up, I'm gonna stick it there, dude. I did it there as a joke originally, and I was like, ah, fuck it, I'll leave it.
That's
You
so
know?
funny, man. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. That's fair. So ask him with today's market. Okay, so you have $1,000.
yeah.
Where do you put those in crypto assets?
Let me pump my bags. Let me think. What coins do I have?
Free reign.
So I think Bitcoin could show relative strength in a prolonged bear market. But the question is, how useful is relative strength when the price keeps going fucking down? So you could make the case that you could average in 6K to 3K, maybe all your bids don't get hit, and just hold for a while. That could work. Or you could try and wait till, more bottomish kind of stuff, and grab some crab coins, maybe. I'm not a crab coin expert. I own some Prime Coin. There's development stuff going on with it. If they go ahead and do their fork thing, it should do magic stuff. Not sure what's going on with their dev team. You'd have to look into it. Check it out if you're doing the crab coin thing. Check out XPM. I think my coin's going to be amazing. You just have to wait for it to exist. Right now, you can't buy it. You can only get it for free, and that will be down the road. I think Ripple's going to be dead for a while. I'm not sure about all these ICOs holding so much Ethereum. They have bills to pay. They have devs to pay. They've got ads to buy. It's expensive. They'll have to continue to actually sell ETH to fund those activities. So I'm probably not that bullish on ETH, the core token. I mean, look, dude, why rush? I mean, if bear markets don't resolve in 7 months, what's the rush? And if they're going to resolve in quicker than 7 months, well, then at what price would you know that was happening? 11K, 12K, right? Like higher highs, higher local highs instead of lower highs. So, I think you're asking the wrong question right now. Like a smarter question might be like, what's the bounce to short? Look at the chart. I mean, that's what we've done for 7 months. So unless you've got some reason that we have to stop doing it right now, why don't we just keep what we've been doing for 7 months? Seems reasonable. We had a 50% bounce and then we just died off of it. So
Yeah, Matthew's gonna sleep until we hit 12K, he said. So have a good night, bro. Okay, so I have four questions here that came from your Twitter. So I'll just go through them. They're all pretty interesting, actually. I think people will like them. So Bitcoin price, medium to long term, your eyes.
Higher. Last bear market was 622 days. It's about 1.69 years. And let's just think that the market rhymes. And let's think that we do something similar, maybe shorter because more on ramps, or maybe longer if futures leans on us instead of pumps us. And then let's start doing new all-time highs again, which would take another about, so that would be the bottom. 622 days would be the bottom from peak to bottom. And then let's figure another 622 to get to old all-time highs, 20K. And then we can do, another 10X, go to 200K maybe on the next bull run. Why not? A lot more on-ramps,
What would
a
what
lot
would be the
better.
biggest catalyst? You think the on-ramps
ETF is
themselves?
about the only thing. ETF or shady people just actually dumping their Cayman Islands crap for Bitcoin are the only two things with enough actual dollar flow to move this large liquid thing. It really needs to be ETF or offshore people getting into it. I don't know of anything else because adoption is not happening. Like we're not getting actual users for actual transactions. That's not happening. It's like, oh, if Amazon starts using it, they're not. Like, oh, what? This shit's not happening. It's been around for 9 years. No one's using it. So we need people to use it as store value. So I really think it's just ETF or offshoring.
Fair. I'm gonna skip the second one, but the third question is what? Okay, okay. So you had a good night last night. You're having fun. You got yourself your tan. So let's talk a little bit about your party lifestyle. What's your party
Sure.
lifestyle like now?
I go out every night and I talk to everyone that looks cool, and
About
I
Bitcoin
meet.
or
What?
or Bitcoin X? You're not
No,
one of those guys.
I talk about what they enjoy talking about. No one gives a fuck what I enjoy talking about, and it would be the same conversation 100 times anyway. So
Social skills. I love it.
yeah, I mean, people oftentimes like to talk about themselves, and if you talk to thousands of people, it's pretty handy to talk about new things because the newest you can, so things that are unique to them. Because otherwise, you'll have the same conversation over and over and over again, and it will get boring. So I meet tons and tons of people all the time, and we have a lot of fun. We dance, we party, we drink, we uh, all the stuff that you see in the movies about frat life. That stuff.
Damn.
You know, because
Gotcha. Gotcha.
think about this, dude. Recently single plus midlife crisis plus ultra social plus pretty wealthy. Probably gonna do the going out thing a little bit. I mean, it's you have to do it reasonably. So don't drink too much. Like as you can see, I'm tight. Like didn't drink too much. Have a good team that you go out with. Be safe. Know everybody. What else? Know what your objective is. I know what my objective is. I don't waste time with people. They either fit what I want to do or they can fuck off. And just keep. I'll go to 10 clubs in a night until I find people that are cool and want to have the kind of fun that I want to have. I won't just. You will not see me sitting and not working. I'm the hardest. You know how James Brown is like the hardest working dude in show business? I'm the hardest working dude at the club, dog. I treat this shit like a full-time job, dude. And I get the results because of that.
It's real serious. You're gonna need to write another book about that.
If you
About
read
that.
Sci-Vive, there is a section on this stuff in the relationship section. And there's some good stuff in there. And I think you'd appreciate it. If you appreciate
Yeah.
this type of lifestyle, you'll learn something good out of the relationship section of the Sci-Vive book. SCIV. Did I even spell it right? SCIVIVE.
Yeah. And so like, is that this new lifestyle, maybe middle-age crisis, recently single, is that what prompted the style change? What prompted that?
I lived in a hotel for 5 years, traveling the world, and I was with a girl for 8 years, and we broke up. And I was a fatter fucker at the time. I was like 270 pounds. Right now I'm God, what am I? 240 now. And then I like dropped down to 220, so I lost 50 pounds. Like after the breakup, and I was in Ireland, and I heard some guy in a subway talking about Tony Robbins. I'm like, oh, I've done every Tony Robbins everything. I've been to his island. I've done Leadership Academy, like every single thing the guy sells. I've given him like a couple $100,000 on educational stuff. And it's good stuff. You learn a lot. And he said, oh, well, you should check out these dudes. They'll just teach you how to party in the clubs. I was like, all right. And so I went and trained with guys that party in clubs professionally, and then like I had a big terrorist beard, long hair down to my ass, fixed all that stuff up, very crap fashion sense, fixed that up. And then I was always amazing with dudes, but with girls, it's just like a different thing, right? So like I can go into a bar, approach a woman that I think looks cool, introduce myself, steal her seat, sit her on my lap, and have a conversation for as long as I want. And that's not something that you can do without training. Like that type of magic, like meet new people and create instant connection. That's a skill. That's entertainment. It's like being an entertainer. It's like being a comedian. It's like being you're giving people the time of their life. You'll be the best thing that happened to them that night. And it took years to develop that. So I started doing that 8 years ago and went out every night for a couple years and built my social circle and met, everyone that I consider a very good friend now, in different clubs around the world. And as long as you've got a high filter for what you want out of a relationship, churning the numbers and meeting thousands of people, there's no other way to get the relationships you want in your life. I mean, nowadays, maybe if you hit it off amazingly on social, I mean, dude, you've got 150K subs on YouTube. They're all dudes.
15K.
Oh, well, they're all
Yeah,
dudes.
most are dudes. Most are dudes.
Yeah. So like what I've got, 99.9% dude followers. This conversation we're having right now, it doesn't help me have the variety and sensual excitement that I want to have in my life. So in order to have that, you need to dress and dance and party and have fun and be interesting and do something that has nothing to do with crypto. And there's no overlap. Like nothing that you do on crypto will help you find love in your life. So you have to learn that other thing.
Yeah, it's definitely beyond just trading, and that's going to bring you happiness. I agree with you. I mean, like that's what makes people happy. You lock a person up by themselves with all the money and things they could ever want, they're not going to be happy. It's about connection, I guess, unless you're some sort of sociopath. So, and you do most of your learning when you're alone, especially after something like an 8-year relationship, I imagine. But yeah, thanks for sharing. Cool stuff, man. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
I'm sorry about that. I mean, that sucks that you went through that, but I'm
it's
sure you're having a
fine.
wild
Like
time now.
I did another 8 year after that. I just came off another 8 year.
Oh
I've
my
had
God.
two 8 years. Yeah, dude, when I tend to have like retardedly long relationships. So now I'm in like just party mode pretty much. But my party mode's pretty reasonable. Like I still get a lot of work done, You can check
Dude,
my post count.
early on when I first started like getting into crypto, even before I did videos, I was going through a pretty bad depression too. And having gone through another one before that where I was all anxious and depressed for years, and I found nootropics and trying to heal my brain and fix myself and stuff. I didn't want to go through that again. So after that last relationship, I actually ended up spending stupid amounts of money at places like strip clubs. It was but you know what? I'm not gonna say it was terrible. At the end of the day, I was just trying to literally just avoid thinking about it, and you could argue that I was just like not confronting it, but I definitely did a lot of thinking, and it helped me get over it quicker at the end of the day.
My experience of like going out is that it makes me my best self. So I'm my best self in this conversation with you. This brings out the best in me, minus the posture. Sorry guys, I'm just not doing it. I can't do it for fucking hour and a half. I want to think. I don't want to think about posture. So
Yeah, I can't not. I'm always like thinking about it. But yeah, go ahead.
So like when you go out and you understand that what other people appreciate is happy and fun and tranquil and just fulfilled. When you practice doing fulfilled, you become fulfilled. You become what you practice. So the best version of me is me when I'm with others. And the less great version of me is when I'm, I guess, just by myself or whatever, right? Like you can see it in your face. Like I dare you to turn on your webcam sometime when you're just chilling. You're like,
Like when you put Instagram on the wrong side.
Yeah, you're just
before
like,
you see
oh,
the
what,
picture.
what the f? That's what I look like at rest. I should never ever be by myself again. That looks so terrible, right? He's tranced out looking like a zombie. Um, then not everyone has that experience. Like if you didn't build the skill, you might just, if you suck around people, then being around people might just be terrible for you. But for me, I love it.
Yeah. Let me just finish up with a few more questions here. We got through a bunch of them already. So let me see. Somebody wants to know, Jordan Smith wants to know if you changed your view on Bcash and Roger. Has that evolved anything since you guys had your debate
I
or
mean,
since time has gone by?
look, it's an altcoin, and they're trying to build stuff and get adoption, and I think that's totally fair. The only two problems I have is that they keep trying to kill that which gave birth to them. The code, the majority of the code they use is Bitcoin core code. They continue to demonize those guys. That's disgusting. Um, Other than that, I mean, what they're doing seems fine. Like, do dev, build a good value proposition, try and get adoption. Uh, just don't do the brand confusion thing. Don't do the steel miners thing, and you're fine. Like, I have no problem with the project.
Yeah. So as I mean, you were known as like the spam king. You were selling
You know,
speakers out of your car,
you know,
buying them from your father, I believe, who worked at Brandsmart, and then selling them and building up your business that way.
something
So I
like
guess
that. Very close.
yeah. So to wrap up, do you want to talk about that? Your experiences, like learning about business and money, and
Oh,
giving
sure,
your best advice to people now, and doing what they want to do, and having that
sure.
freedom.
Yeah. So, you can get rich lots of ways that aren't crypto. I was a millionaire long before Bitcoin existed, and it's just because I did normal ass business and kept trying new things. So, my first business was a car stereo store, and one of the things I learned is that you can advertise things you don't have yet and see if you get phone calls. It's a very powerful idea. You don't have to place an order on Alibaba or AliExpress to get a product to try and sell it to find out that it didn't work. You can go place that ad right now. And when people call, you can say, hey, listen, I just put a test ad out. I don't have that yet, but I can get it, and it's really cool. Keep my number. I'll call you when I get it. I hope I didn't waste your time. Trying to do something new, you know? I mean, or you could be shady and not tell them that and just be like, oh, I just sold it. The choice is yours, I guess. I don't see the downside to honesty in that situation. Um, so, just like I stick billionaire in my profile, why not? It's better, right? Maybe that improves my subscribe rate by 1%. Fine. Do you really care if I'm a multimillionaire or billionaire? Does it really matter to you, right? Am I really no, it's fine. It's free better, right? So, when I would advertise an amplifier, it's 400 watts max. It's 200 watts RMS. Well, what am I going to write? I'm going to write 400 watts. You can call me and find out whether it's max or RMS, right? Call, right? So you learn about optimizing headlines. You learn about creating value. You learn about getting good deals on stuff and providing people something that's better than you could come into my store and I could sell you Rockford Fosgate stuff that I make 40% markup on, and their 12 inches suck. They had 8mm X Max, Excursion Max, which is basically as loud as they could play. Or I could sell you Hollywood Sound Labs, which I make 100% markup on, and they cost you less after my higher markup, and they have 12mm of excursion, and they have a better warranty. So I make more money, you pay less, and you get a better product. It was just a win-win. So you get your lost leaders, you get your headline products, you bring people in on with your ads. Oh, you want the Punch 800, cool. You want the new Kicker L7 square ones or whatever your ads are. And then you get your leads in, you get your calls in, you go, look, I got this stuff, it's here, I'm gonna give you a good deal on it. They give you a better deal on this thing, and it's a better product. Hear them, and you let them hear both. Then everyone wins, right? The only person that doesn't win is the asshole that spends all their money on marketing, which in this case would be Kicker or Rockford Fosgate, that makes an inferior product that fails more often, right? Their products fail like fuck. It's retarded how much they fail in Florida where it's hot. So those same principles of getting a better deal, giving someone a better product that you have higher margin on, using good headlines, that stuff works in everything. I mean, that works when you say hello to somebody. Hey, you want to meet a cool American? Ugh. Hey, do you want to meet a cool American guy? Or, any you've got one first impression you can make. Your open needs to be as good as you can make it. So that's whether it's a Google ad or saying hello to someone in a club or, your resume. What's the first line of your resume, right? A lot of stuff's in the book, guys. If you like this kind of stuff, like how to write headlines and things like that. So my first car stereo store was great, and then I sold shopping cart software, and then I sold search engine optimization, and then I sold mortgage leads, and then I started a mortgage company. Then we had a miracle cleaner and sex toys and cash advance loans and foreclosure bailouts. And then I mined Bitcoin in 2011. Like I've been serially successful because I keep trying. I'm actually starting a reality TV show, but I'm not going to tell you much about it until it's ready. Because if I'm out partying with people anyway, why don't I just add a little competition, a little money, and a camera? I'm doing the same shit anyway. It could be fun, you know? And all my followers are 99% dudes, and I just put a poll up a couple days ago, and I'm like, what do you want? You want me to be smart? Or do you want to see party photos, or do you want to see hot girls? Hot girls won by 50% lead over the other options. So apparently my followers are horny dudes that want to do the same stuff that I do and just party and have fun and get rich on crypto. Works for me, you know? So I got a token coming out in 2 months. I got a book that's being edited as we speak, and some reality TV show thing, and then maybe CFD. We'll see.
Yeah. So lastly, when can we expect this airdrop? When's this happening? How can we participate? What's your website? How can people reach you if they're interested?
Sure. So you just go to bitcoinhex.com, and you can see the progress we make every day on the smart contract at the GitHub, which is github.com/bitcoinhex. Right now, we're in the testing phase. So we're throwing all types of different variables against the contract to make sure that it's all sane and it all works the way it should. So I've got 2 devs pretty much full-time working on it now. My lead dev, Kieran, is working on the UTXO tool and the interface that you use to use the UTXO tool so you've got your coins, you tell it which coins are yours, it generates a statement for you, you use your wallet to sign the statement, and you send that to the Ethereum contract, and the contract goes, oh, you did really have those coins, cool. And it gives you the tokens. So he's working on the UTXO side and the user interface side. And then right now, Cody is working on making sure that everything is sane, all of the testing, test coverage, some business logic stuff he had to rewrite because the results were just funky that he was getting. And I just put a new guy on. I've got a third guy, Mark, who's doing all our front end stuff. So we're redoing the front end for everything. So our Facebook, abbreviated snapshots of when people link to the stuff on Facebook, they'll be clean and tight. And I'm probably gonna maybe put a fourth guy on part-time just to do the shill kit. So since it's a referral network based and you can make money by referring people, you've got to have a good shill kit, right? Here's good headlines. Here's good GIFs that are, the right size for popular platforms, stuff like that. It's coming together, it's progress is being made. I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy you didn't rush it because I know you started talking about it a while ago, and you've been doing your thing. Definitely, audits to me are one of the most important things in the space. I think Cody needs a section on your website because I only saw Kieran on there, and so hopefully you can get a spotlight.
Yeah, so I'm gonna add Mark and Cody. I'm basically, instead of redoing that site, I'm gonna let Mark add himself and Cody to Kieran and me on the site, and then you'll be able to see them all. So if you want to look up Cody, his website's Cody Lamson, Lamson. He has already been through and fully launched audited contracts through Consensus audit systems. I think it's called Consensus Diligence. He's super, super legit, smart dude. And you can see the quality of his work on the GitHub.
Well, thank you so much, Richard, for taking quite a bit of time for this interview. I think a lot of people did appreciate your answers, and at least it gave some insight into what they should be thinking or doing or participating in. I mean, definitely you got some OG experience.
I should tell people to follow me on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Follow me on Twitter, Richard Hartwin, and go on my YouTube, Richard Hart, and use my BitMEX shill link, and get your Bitcoin Hex when it comes out, and subscribe to Crypto. He's got nice pecs.
Yeah. I do daily videos on the news pretty much, or whatever the heck I feel like doing. I drive around in a car talking to myself about crypto. I've been doing it for years, pretty much talking about economics as well as the singularity and blockchain being the intermediary about that. And I'll be here for a while.
Since I'm streaming this on my channel too, we need to make sure everybody's got all your stuff. So what's your Twitter?
No, it's Crypto's News, so CRYPT0S, Crypto's News. So you can follow me there. Pretty much, if you could just go to my YouTube channel, so CRYPT0. If description. You'll see everything there. And yeah, I try to keep this shill free. So I literally don't really take like I rarely do any sort of promotional material. When I do, it's all transparent. That's how I roll. I mean, this isn't even my main thing either. I have a lot else going on outside of this, but I think more than anything, I'm just an enthusiast who's been in for a while, and I always enjoy discussions with people like you or anybody else. And I read all my comments, so I can get a tip hopefully on what's going on and just be a mirror for that to pass that forward.
Oh,
Just
and
being yeah.
join the Telegram too. I've got a Strape. This like 5,500 people in it.
Yeah,
T.me
what's your
slash Strape. It's like strawberry grape Strape. T.me.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah. T.me / Strape. Like strawberry grape. STRAPE. Or
Yeah.
street rape if you're not as creative.
That's one way to remember it for sure. Well, take care, brother. Thank you, everybody
Thanks, man.
who's here in the chat, man. Like, we didn't get to reach everybody's question. There were a lot of them, but I think we hit some of the important ones, man. And I hope you have a great night. And no, party hard. But yeah, if you have an interview tomorrow, keep it like today because you did a good job.
Good talk, man. Ciao, bro.
For sure. Take care, bro.